Peter?
No.
All right. Well, we are live. Welcome to this Groundswell broadcast. This is Brennan speaking to you, and very excited as we approach the holiday season to share this message with you. We have Afua and Peg, who are some of our board members here at Groundswell International. And recently they went on a journey and adventure to Haiti to see some of our partners and what they are doing, in addition to Groundswell's help, to refortify the land and really try and invigorate their crop using agroecology. We're going to jump right into this with a question for either of you. Just curious, Peg, Afua, have either of you traveled to Haiti before, and did you know what agroecology was before visiting?
I had not traveled to Haiti before. And as far as agroecology, I had read the book Fertile Ground, which Groundswell helped, which is essentially, I think, a collection of case studies that Groundswell International has done over the past few years. And so I had a somewhat theoretical understanding of what agroecology was, but didn't really understand and practice what it was. Being in Haiti on this trip, I got to see what it means. And to me, agroecology is essentially increasing food production and the quality of the land through sustainable ways that really respect the local culture.
Absolutely. I knew what agroecology was because I had been in sustainability for some time, but had never been to Haiti. And of course, heard all kinds of bad things about Haiti, particularly after the earthquake and so forth and onward. And I was struck by how incredibly well the farmers who are involved with PDL there have done to show the work of agroecology and how sustainability can turn around not just one or two farmers, but thousands.
Absolutely. So our partners down there at PDL have done a tremendous job, and the collaboration is getting stronger, I think, as we deepen our work. Could you, I guess, maybe describe to our audience, Peg, you touched on it a little bit, what your initial sensory experience was visiting Haiti, for the first few hours?
Well, Port-au-Prince is a little bit different than the countryside. Port-au-Prince is a typically sort of Caribbean city that has a lot of poverty and still has not totally recovered from the earthquake. But as you go out into the countryside and you see people trying to live off the land, and how well they can do when they use the techniques that PDL and of course Groundswell are talking about, and their enthusiasm for it. It's a wonderful experience, and it's so I don't know, so encouraging.
Right. Afua, how about you?
Yeah, I think my first few hours in Haiti were a bit both overwhelming and extremely enjoyable. The flight to get there, it was a fairly straightforward flight. I'd been to that part of the world before, and there's just a different energy and sights and sounds and smells of being in the Caribbean. And so immediately when you step off the plane and out of the airport, you're like, oh, this is where I am. And you just feed off the energy of the people on the ground. We had a great guide while we were there also, who's actually our guide and translator, who is an American who's been living in Haiti for 30 years. And so she took us around the city of Port-au-Prince and gave us a lot of the history. We got to talk to Haitians that day through her wonderful interpretation, and just get to meet people and start to immediately feel welcomed.
That's great. That's really great. When you think of board members, most times you think of board members operating from the outside looking in, but you guys were really on the ground, hiking up the hills, in the mountainside, in the countryside, rather. I mean, talk a little bit about that. What inspired you to really go there in the physical to experience what agroecology is and the work Groundswell is doing?
Well, 30 years ago, I traveled to West Africa when I was on the board of another organization that talked about sustainability, and had been, of course, being in West Africa, which is interesting because Afua is from Ghana, and that's where I was 30 years ago. So that whole experience then not only challenged me to go other places too, but when I went to Haiti, I just was so amazed at the sort of, I don't know what you would call it, the encouragement these people give not only to each other, but to me as a board member, that this works. This works. This idea is replicable any place in the world where agriculture is practiced, which is everywhere in the world. And they know it. They're farmers, they're on the ground, and they prove to themselves that it works, and to other people that it works.
That's great. Afua, anything to add?
Yeah, for me, there's just no substitute for being on the ground and seeing what you're doing and seeing what people who are being enabled by the organization, supported by the organization, are doing on the ground and seeing their lives. To me, I think this is part of why I am so proud of what Groundswell does, because we try not to just be Americans sitting in DC or somewhere in the US directing and sending out edicts essentially from the US, but we really want to come alongside people and make sure that we're partnering with people in the countries that we are working. And so I think that extends to the board as well. We don't want to just have every board member in the US and be there in our own bubble, but it's important to get out, see what people are doing, hear stories, be able to adjust our plans based on what people actually need, and see what has been working and what we can improve.
Excellent. Thank you guys for sharing that insight. And it leads me to this other question. If you had to select 3 key takeaways from your trip and share them with the audience, I would like you to consider that, but also consider who else would you share these takeaways with? Who else may find them interesting, valuable, maybe even intriguing to the extent of wanting to learn more about Groundswell's work?
Well, of course, you would hope that as we talk about Groundswell to our friends and neighbors, that we would encourage them to be donors for Groundswell, to support this work. As much as we would all like to be able to do it for free, nothing's for free. And we need people to help us with this work. And I think one of the things, as Afua said about herself, me too, that drew me to Groundswell was it's just so important for the world in terms of our ability to feed ourselves, but also the fact that it does so much for the earth itself. And it's just such positive work. That's what helps me sell it, quote unquote, to other people, is how could you not be impressed by what's going on with these people?
Right.
Yeah, for me, I think, I know you asked for 3 things, but we would be here all day if I described in detail the 3 things that stood out to me most. But one of the most impressive things to me was one day we trekked up a mountainside. At least it felt like a mountain to me. It was an intense walk up a mountainside to someone's farm. And we're standing on this farm that goes up the hillside. And there's green vegetation everywhere in every direction. You see papaya trees and sweet potatoes and a wide variety of other fruits and vegetables growing everywhere. And the farmer that we spoke to, as we're standing there in the middle looking down over this hillside, says 4 years ago, before I met Groundswell, this land was barren. I was planning on burning it, and I never thought that it would produce anything again. As you were standing and looking at all this green vegetation, he says, with the techniques that Groundswell taught, with the green manure and just figuring out what needs to grow next to each other to make it healthy and to restore the soil, now every time I come to the garden, there's something for my family to eat. And so being able to tangibly see that and to touch the papaya trees and anything else that's growing is just really impactful as far as who I tell that to. Everyone, it seems like, I think, who has encountered me in the past couple of months has heard a version of my Haiti story. I really like food. I really like feeding people. I like making sure that other people have access to food and can feed themselves and their families. And so, again, just really hearing that firsthand story from that farmer that says, before I met Groundswell, there was nothing. Now, every time my family comes here, there's something to eat. And that was just really impactful for me.
Wow. Yeah, those are powerful words. Peg, did you want to add something?
Afua, I was so amazed at where we stayed and how well we were taken care of when you saw the people who were cooking go out in the backyard and pick avocados off the tree. And you see what an incredible fertile ground that is there in Haiti, and with just really a minimum of change, what all could be brought to the people of Haiti. And he had such a bad rap over the last few years, and they are an amazing people. Not only are they friendly and welcoming, but they're smart. They know what's going on. I walked out to a well these people had dug, and they were talking about their lending services, and I mean it was and their marketing director, and these are farmers that for many of them grew up with no education, no electricity, no running water, no nothing, and they've got businesses now thanks to just some changes in technique.
And that's really remarkable. And the success that the organization has had over the past year, I think many people are now realizing the effect of the agroecological process. So since you guys have seen this firsthand, I'd be interested to know, what are your thoughts on the future of Groundswell International and its international partners?
Well, internationally, as I said, the thing that I have been most impressed with about Groundswell is it has a very small staff in comparison to what it delivers across the world, because it partners with people. And that idea of being a facilitator, bringing together groups who can help each other, is so much more, and I hate to use this word, but cost effective in terms of what your dollar can do when you give it to Groundswell, how it can impact people, is to me an amazing thing. And I think it's proven with the growth that Groundswell had, and just it's a 10-year-old organization and how well it's doing.
Yeah, I would just echo what Peg said. I think the level of impact that we've had just across the different countries in West Africa with some reforestation efforts, and Haiti, as we saw with just being able to produce more food, and other projects that we have across the world, I think that we've had a significant impact on, again, respecting local cultures, preserving local cultures, but at the same time, increasing food production, improving nutrition, increasing financial stability in different countries across the world. I think the future looks strong for the work. As Peg said earlier, we're clearly board members as we're talking about the money side of it, but part of the limiting factor has been funds. So as we get more funds, we can expand the work. I think one thing that really stuck with me in Haiti was that was the multiplying effect of the funds that Groundswell uses. And that even when we give goats, for example, in Haiti, it's not just a donation of, we have money for 10 goats, here you go. We ask the communities for, to raise money for the equivalent. So if they raise money for one goat, we match it with another goat. So then you can breed and you can do more. And so that multiplying effect that we have with our resources, I think, will really allow Groundswell to continue to grow its impact in the future.
Excellent. One topic that I forgot to mention, but I think is critically important to the world. Um, Part of the work that Groundswell does is really empower women farmers. And in your travels to Haiti, what was your experience? You know, through pictures and videos, we've seen women giving reports on their crop yields. Did you have a chance to speak with any of the women there and get a sense for what's going through their mind as they're amplifying their farming techniques?
Of course, Afua, I don't know about you, but the marketing director is the one who struck me.
Yeah.
Because she was young. And the fact that she's staying there, that was the one that got me.
Yeah. We definitely were able to interact with a lot of women when we were in Haiti. All of the different groupements that we partner with or that we're serving keep really good data, really good statistics on their organization and the communities that they're serving and who's involved. And in almost all cases, there was about a 50-50 split with the number of people in the communities who were men and women who were part of this Groundswell funded work, whether it was through farming, whether it's through lending, whether it's through the marketing efforts. And so just seeing those raw numbers were impressive enough. We had in all of the groups that we met, in all of the communities that we met, there were men and women who were selected to represent the group. And so actually seeing that representation was good. But as someone who has worked on a lot of female representation issues in STEM fields in the US, representation isn't enough. And so as Peg alluded to, when we heard from the women actually presenting and having leadership roles, it's when I was most impressed. This 15-year-old woman that Peg mentioned talked about how she is leading the marketing efforts in her community and how she was trained in it, how she's having other trainings for other people for these marketing efforts, and how she has a vision for where that community is going and where the produce is going and what they produce is going, what else they can make and how they're going to sell it. She gave such an impassioned speech about what they were doing that at the end I was like, take all my money, just take it. She was really good. And it was so good to see that amount of energy from someone who's young, who's invested in her community, who's invested in staying around. And as a female, being able to have that leadership position and to be respected by clearly her peers who are her age, but also the older generation, both men and women.
Excellent. Excellent.
It really was. It was just phenomenal. That was one of the most just striking things that happened to me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's tremendous. Thank you for sharing that, Afua and Peg. So now we have a little bonus question. So you guys are in, this tropical paradise. Essentially the land can be restored back to that if it's not already. But the tropical fruits, the vegetables and produce, I'm curious, did you have a favorite dish that you tried, maybe that was prepared for you or that you saw from ground to table, farm to table?
Well, of course, there was Afua's birthday while we were there, so that was pretty special. But I think I was amazed at the variety, actually, that they put in front of us every day. The number of fruits and vegetables, and of course, there was rice and some things that maybe you thought would be staples. But I was just amazed, as I said, that they would go in the backyard and just pick the avocados off the tree. The avocados were really spectacular, and I love avocado.
So do I.
That was good for me.
How about you, Afua?
I can't pick a favorite dish. As Peg mentioned earlier, the place where we stayed, we were so well taken care of. And the woman who cooked there made amazing dishes, so many of them. I love fresh fruit. There was a lot of papaya. We found a papaya that was literally the size of my head, and it tasted delicious. So the papaya was probably my favorite fruit, but the dishes themselves were all really good.
That's great. That's great. Well, do you guys have anything you'd like to close out in telling the audience?
Well, just at this time of the year when we in America are so lucky and are talking about Thanksgiving and large feasts and so forth, that I'm thankful for the opportunity to be on the Groundswell board. I'm thankful to have met Afua, who's now my new best friend, and you, Brennan, to continue this work, to keep going, to show my friends and the people here where I live how important it is that the rest of the world have sustainable agriculture. It's good for all of us, and it so much more to be able to see people help themselves rather than having to deliver bags of food. And I think we are all, including the people who are there receiving it, I think to be able to feed themselves so much more empowering for them too, and for all of us.
Agreed.
I can't top that, so I will just echo everything Peg said.
No problem. Well, in that case, let's wrap up. Thank you so much for joining, and really wishing you all a happy holiday, even the audience as well. And if you enjoyed hearing about this journey to Haiti, please feel free to leave us a comment below, right in the comment box, or tap the link in our description for a real-time opportunity to impact social change globally. If you can, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not yet done so, and absolutely stay tuned for more content from around the world. This is Groundswell International, Peg and Afua, and we're signing off. Take care, you all.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.